there isn't one mistake that we're making that allows children to walk away from everything holy without even a guilty feeling. They wake up one morning and they say, "Not for me," and bye-bye, and it's over. That's not the result of one mistake. It's not the result of a bad decision. There's something fundamental missing that you can learn Chassidus and sit by Farbrengens and sing a Chassidish Nigun and then walk away as if nothing happened. There's something wrong, something fundamentally wrong. And I think it's the attitude or the image or the picture that we have of the Eibishter. So I was talking to some girls, and it was very distasteful that they had issues that you hope Chassidish girls don't have, with boys and with taivas. Okay, it's disappointing, but ma yasa ben shelo yachta. But when one of them said, "Why do we bother learning Chassidus? Chassidus is irrelevant." Oh, that's much more upsetting. That's much more upsetting. That means that all the years in yeshiva, she never got the message. This is not a Yetzer Hara. This is a failure, a terrible failure in the chinuch. How do you sit in a Chassidish sviva for 8 years and walk away saying that Chassidus is irrelevant? Or another girl who said, "I don't understand why we have to be so frum. It doesn't matter to the Eibishter, and it doesn't matter to me. So what are we getting so upset about?" So it doesn't matter to the Eibishter? No, the Eibishter is perfect. And again, the same question. How do you sit and hear Chassidish Maises and talk about Chassidim and learn Tanya and go to the oil and then walk away saying that the Eibishter doesn't... This is... So why is it surprising? If you find Chassidus irrelevant and you're convinced that the Eibishter doesn't care anyway, why are you surprised that she walks away and decides, "Ich darf es nicht. Not interested. You want it, you keep it. I'm not interested." Why are you surprised? What did you do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. But you didn't do anything right. We have to re-examine. We're not just workers. There has to be a geschmack. There has to be a taste. There has to be a relationship with the Eibishter. The Eibishter has to be real. The Eibishter has to matter in your life, and the only way it can matter is if it matters to him. You can't have a one-sided relationship. The Alter Rebbe said, "Mili b'shamayim im cholei chafatzti ba'aretz, ich will nicht dein Gan Eden, ich will nur dir allein." The Eibishter is bli gvul. The Eibishter is Ein Sof. The Eibishter is invulnerable. The Eibishter doesn't need, doesn't care, is not affected. What is the Alter Rebbe saying? Who are you talking to? You're talking to an Eibishter who doesn't care what you think, who doesn't care what you say, who doesn't care what you do, and you're telling him, "Ich will nur dir allein." You're out of your mind. The only way that is real, the only way that is true, is if it's also true of the Eibishter. If the Eibishter doesn't care what you think, what you say, he just wants you then you can say, ich will nicht dein Gan Eden, ich will nicht dein Shamayim, I just want you. But if the Eibishter is not into it, then what are you doing? So on the one hand, no, the Eibishter is not human, the Eibishter doesn't need, the Eibishter doesn't care, but everything you need and everything you care about, you can talk to him about it. What is that? Doesn't make sense. The Rebbe told somebody who wanted a bracha for children, the Rebbe told him, I also don't have children. So this guy says to the Rebbe, yeah, but you're a Rebbe. But what did he mean by that? You're a Rebbe. So to you, nothing matters. You have kids, you don't have kids, what do you care? You're a Rebbe. Is that the most horrendous thing you ever heard? So the Rebbe said to him, not a day goes by that I don't think about it. You're a Rebbe. If I'm a Rebbe and I don't care whether I have children or not, so why are you asking me to give you a bracha for children? I don't care. Why should I care about you? I don't understand what it means not to have children. So what are you trying to tell me? That it bothers you? Ich verstehe nicht. Why does it bother you? I also don't have children. Who cares? That's horrible. If you come to the Eibishter and you say, I have a problem, can you help me? If he doesn't have that problem, then he can't help you. Or he won't help you. Or why should he help you?
What he was saying is that du bist der Rebbe, and you could see that everything is divine providence, and therefore you can handle yourself. Because you know you have Kabbalah Sel, you have Atzmus und Hos. Ich hab nicht, ich bin a human. A human, I have my problems, and I can't handle it.
That's, you're not human, so you don't have a problem. Because he's a Rebbe, it bothers him much more than it bothers you. You're a behemoth. If it bothers you, imagine how much more it bothers the Rebbe. You're an insensitive Grubbe Jung, and it bothers you. Imagine how much it bothers the Rebbe.
So what the Maggid said, that when you daven, you shouldn't daven for you need, you should solve Nashkin.
But when during the Shiva for the Rebbetzin, the Rebbe said, somebody was Menachem, and the Rebbe said, aber wo is the binyan adayad? He never gave up. So it's so backwards to say, I'm upset. The Rebbe is a Rebbe, he's not upset. It's the exact opposite. You say, I can't understand. I can't take it. Innocent people are dying. Why does the Eibishter let? You're upset? You're a Yelud Isha, and it bothers you. And you didn't create the world.
Maybe dafka because you're Yelud
Isha. Things bother you.
These things bother you more.
It bothers the Eibishter infinitely more. Infinitely more.
Well, you want a fancy car. Someone that's more ruchnis doesn't want it.
Exactly.
But this is not a fancy car. You're crying.
If a problem bothers you, doesn't mean the Eibishter says that.
It's not
I'm
Gashmis.
talking about children mitzad the ruchnistic thing of it. Okay? Right. It happens to be also a ruchnistic thing, but in India, let's say, it doesn't have a house or whatever, something more gashmistic.
If it's talking about a house or Gashmis, then you're right. The Rebbe Taka didn't have a house of his own. It didn't belong to him.
Rebbe laskil chabina, to be above being bothered by gashmistic problems.
That's true. Oh, but if you're
They
seeing...
can help, but then a regular
Okay.
person can't.
So if you're seeing Jews suffering, and it bothers you, and you're an insensitive creature, so imagine how much it bothers the Eibishter, who happens to be infinitely more sensitive than you.
Are you talking about, if you're talking about Gullus, Shchinte Begulus, then fine. If it bothers you, Kolshke and Eibishter, let's say, you mean, are you referring to all problems?
That's what it means, that in Atzmus is Altsnegeya. If you have a stomach ache and it hurts you, it hurts the Eibishter infinitely more. And that's what it means, Vayeda Elikim. You're telling the Eibishter that you're in pain? You think you have to explain pain to the Eibishter?
Maybe you don't have to explain pain to the Eibishter, but it doesn't mean that they...
Why don't you have to explain it? Because he understands pain much better than you. Why? Because it hurts him a lot more than it hurts you. What does it mean when the Eibishter said, Shteik, kach ola b'machshava, and if you don't stop, achzer es ha'olam l'tayuv aveyu. What is that? So here's another example, where every time the Eibishter speaks, we assume that he's shouting, that he's threatening. The Eibishter said, Shteik. No, he didn't say shteik. He said, shteik! Or I'll wipe you out. Who says he talks like that? The Eibishter said, I'm in enough pain. You don't have to make it worse. What do you want me to do? Turn the world back into Tayuv Avayu? Kenisht. The kavanah of B'riyas Ha'olam, I can't cancel it. What do you want me to cancel? I can't.
Cancel the pain.
This is the. Then it's not a tachteinen. Then it's not an elam hazeh. Which, to make it a little bit more understandable, there's a story that the Rebbe Marash was not well, and he was in a lot of pain. He had operations, and when he was suffering, you couldn't go into Yechidus. The Rebbe didn't see anybody. So what did Chassidim do? There was one Chassid, Reb Hendel, who was able to go into the Rebbe. He was very close to the Rebbe. He was able to go in. He was a big eye of Yisrael. And when a person had a problem, they would tell him. And when he was by the Rebbe Marash, he would see that there's a Psa Eis Rotzen. He would mention this Chassid. One time, Chassid came to him with a problem. And he thought he saw a moment where he could ask. So he mentioned the Chassid. And the Rebbe Marash didn't answer. So being a big eye of Yisrael, he started to cry. Reb Hendel started to cry. So the Rebbe looked at him with surprise. Was weinst du? He says, Em tut vei. He's in pain. The Chassid. So the Rebbe pointed to his bandages and he said, and me? So Reb Hendel knew that he had overstepped. Well, what does this mean? Okay, how does a Rebbe say something like that? I got my own problems? He's in pain? What about me? Sounds like he's been to the call of the Schaefer. I matter too. The Rebbe was saying the opposite. The Rebbe was saying, you're crying over his pain? What do you think is happening to me because of his pain? Look at me. You're telling me he's in pain? We have it all backwards. We care about people dying, innocent people. Oh, you care. Where do you get to care about another person? Because you're a chelik elokam imal. So if the chelik cares, imagine what the Eibishter himself. How did we become better than him? How did we become more sensitive than him? How is it that we get nachas from children, but the Eibishter doesn't get nachas? He's perfect. What is that? If you present an Eibishter to your own children, an Eibishter that doesn't care, that is never happy, is never upset, because what does he care what you do? Then you create children with that attitude. If that's what an Eibishter is, I can also be an Eibishter. I don't care either. No matter what you say. You're upset? Well, too bad. But that's not menschlich. Well, the Eibishter is like that.
Can I ask you a question? A challenge? It's telling an employee, a major company, let's say Starbucks, about to lose his job because that store is closing down. Who do you think? You're under stress. Can you imagine the distress of corporate?
Perfect example.
They're losing their 10,000th store.
Perfect
You're
example.
Just losing your job.
But is that really?
1 second. Turn that muscle a little bit around. If you want to inspire your worker, who's bored with his job, take him into the office and show him what's going on in the big picture. That you have a company going here that feeds 3 million people. And all the things that you produce and all the things and the money that flows in it. Will that inspire him to do his job better? He thinks he's doing a boring job because he has no idea the bigger picture. He thinks it's only negayah to him. I work 8 hours and I only make $60. And that's all he sees, that's all he knows. But if he finds out that he's actually completing, by mailing out the package, he is completing a huge project that, of course, that will inspire him. It opens up his world. He sees a bigger... Do mitzvahs, you'll go to Gan Eden. That is so tiny that if he loses interest, it's all over. You tell him the Eibishter invested, and the Eibishter watches. Hine havaya nitzav olav beichen kloyes. What is that, a threat? Watch yourself, the Eibishter is looking. No. Hine havaya nitzav olav, he's depending on you. Not only what you do, even what you think of him, even how you feel about him, is negayah to him. You're still bored? That's a different story.
The only problem with that is that that's usually the way Balabatim think, but then they say, how come when I did good, I lost my business? How come they expect immediate results? He wants it, or how come terrible things happen? Because we're putting a very human face on the Eibishter in a certain way.
That doesn't mean he's going to give you everything you want.
No, but we're into the business of saying, well, you can't understand everything the Eibishter is doing. We're very much, how did they do the Holocaust? You don't understand. Most of it you don't understand. So what
That's
do you
true.
do back to You're just saying no.
That's true. But when you say you don't understand, it also makes it sound like, look, the Eibishter doesn't really care. And so why is he doing this? Why? He wants to. You don't understand. You make him sound heartless or cruel or cold, not just not understandable. So when the Rebbe says, how can we hope to understand the Eibishter? He doesn't leave room for, and the Eibishter does whatever he wants and it doesn't make a difference to him, so no. Maisi yodai tevim b'yom v'atem eim shira. Some guy said to the Rebbe, I want to retire and settle down. The Rebbe said, settle down? Do you know what's going on in the world? Bikesh yankiv leishav b'shalva. Really? You want to have an easy life. Do you know what's going on in the world? The Eibishter has a vacation. If you make the Eibishter sound indifferent, you're going to have children who are indifferent. It's scary. So basically the point is like this. Vayaminu b'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdei. What did they believe about the Eibishter? After the 10 Makkos, they didn't believe in the Eibishter. Vayaminu b'Hashem, they saw for the first time, they saw the Eibishter's chesed. In Mitzrayim, they just saw gvura. Makkos. They saw the Eibishter's chesed, and they said, you know what? He's much more of a mensch than I ever thought. That's Vayaminu b'Hashem. Because logically, you would think he's not a mensch. Ki lo yodam hu. The emunah was megala, he's more of a mensch than you think. That's Vayaminu b'Hashem. U'v'Moshe avdei. You thought he was just a human being. You have no idea how holy he is. So if we understand how holy a human being can be, and how human the Eibishter could be, then we have a Yiddishkeit that people could love.